Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Hey, happy Thursday. Before you head out, there's a chance of rain across the Front Range and even snow in the high country. So grab an umbrella and maybe some boots, just in case. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, the government shutdown means hundreds of thousands of Coloradans could miss out on food assistance they rely on.
The food bank will probably come into play here pretty soon.
How recipients and aid groups are preparing. Then, amid historic flooding in southwestern Colorado, the dramatic rescue of a hot tub.
Once he put the flag on it, we named it the SS Tubby.
Plus, a small-town film festival with big ambitions.
They're just tickled pink to be here. They don't see this as a small festival in a tiny town on the western slope.
It's Thursday, October 23rd. Here's the news in Colorado today. Unless Congress suddenly changes course, the next major effect of the federal government shutdown will be felt at kitchen tables and at food banks scrambling to make up for a delay that's expected in SNAP benefits.
Green beans? Mixed fruit?
Local governments and aid organizations are sounding the alarm that food stamps for November will be delayed. About 600,000 Coloradans use SNAP benefits to buy groceries. Maybe you're one of them. And half of the people who benefit are children. CPR's Tom Hess is reporting on this. Tom, why do they say that the situation is urgent on the ground here in Colorado?
Well, November's just a week away, and SNAP benefits for that month won't go out as long as the government is shut down. But the real deadline is kind of tomorrow, because if there's not a deal in Congress by then, there's almost certainly going to be a delay because it just takes a while to load people's cards and get the SNAP benefits out the door.
And so how are people preparing to deal with all of this?
Individuals and aid organizations are starting to make plans. I spoke with Travis Haynes. He works part-time security in Grand Junction. He uses about $290 a month in federal SNAP benefits to buy groceries.
I still not a fan of utilizing the resources, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
And he says with delays in receiving the money he uses from SNAP,
well, it's going to come out of my own pocket, and I'll be able to afford it, barely. But, I have to eat. So, and there are food banks, so we're probably going to hit a couple of those up, see what they have to offer. I've never been to a food bank. I know there's multiple locations here in town, but I've never had to go that route yet.
And Haynes, at one point, lives in a shelter, and he still interacts with people who are staying there as a part of his current job. And he says that SNAP delay is on everybody's mind.
I mean, I can imagine. As we mentioned, 600,000 people get federal assistance to buy food in the state, and half of those are children. Are food banks ready for all of these new customers?
They're certainly working overtime to be ready for it, and a big part of what they're doing is collaborating. Stephanie Avasquez runs a group in Grand Junction called Mutual Aid Partners. They do food distribution days on Tuesday where you can get pantry food, hot food, haircuts, pet vaccinations, kind of everything. And she told me the biggest thing that they're working on is making sure that everybody knows what their options are every other day of the week.
Knowledge and education really is what we can control. That's where our power is. And so making sure that folks understand what is available and what resources there are and that we are all talking to each other.
Is there anything that the state can do to get food to families?
Well, Governor Polis yesterday held a press conference announcing that he's asking the legislature for more money to help food banks and pantries. And he says this is creating quite a bit of friction throughout the state. And we talked to Jamie Ulrich. She runs the Department of Human Services in Weld County. And she wants politicians in Washington to know what's at stake as they continue to shut the federal government down.
Please consider the individual families as you're going through your negotiations.
But as our colleague in Washington, D.C., Caitlin Kim, has told us, Democrats and Republicans just aren't negotiating. Democrats, including Senators Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper, are dug in asking for changes to health care, specifically a subsidy that lowers health insurance premium cost for plans purchased on the exchange. And Republicans aren't backing that plan, and they can't reopen the government without more Democratic support.
Tom, just as the government shutdown is almost certainly going to delay food aid, there's another change coming that will end food aid for some people. Could you explain what else is going on with SNAP?
Yeah, we have to go back to the summer a little bit to that big tax and spending law that the Republicans passed, and included in all the provisions on that were expanded work requirements for SNAP that go into effect on November 1st. More categories of people who had been getting help buying food will now have to prove that they're working 80 hours a month in order to keep getting those benefits. And like you said, that change is permanent.
CPR's Tom Hess, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We now know that the historic flooding in southwestern Colorado a couple weeks ago caused almost $6 million in damage to homes in Vallecito. That includes 2 homes that were demolished on the spot so they wouldn't float out into the creek and cause more trouble. But one big thing did end up going into the water. Have you seen the image of a hot tub floating away? It's a symbol of just how much devastation the floods wrought. And we wondered, what happened to it? We tracked down Mark Manser, who said his kids grew up playing in that hot tub at his grandparents' house.
We just never thought the water would ever get anywhere close enough to wash that out, especially how he had it built. And then, of course, come a couple weeks ago with this historic flood, all of a sudden we started seeing some pictures come through. And so all of a sudden we see on Facebook, they got video of the hot tub going down the river, and we're like, that's Grandpa's hot tub. And it wasn't about an hour later, there was a video of the hot tub going under the bridge, which is the 501 bridge.
Rob Hostler was going over the bridge right at that moment.
We had taken the 501 heading down towards Five Branches and happened to look out, and it's like, there's a hot tub. We live just north of Vallecito Lake, so we got more pictures of it, posted it in our page, and people started really liking it and making jokes. And we saw that, hey, this is a little bit of humor in a bad situation.
So then that next day, we're finding out that they're evacuating everybody and they're not letting anybody in.
If I remember correctly, we were about double the amount of flow they had the last big flood.
Getting water from somewhere else is like it's flowing in from over there. So
it was just an ungodly amount of water coming down from the mountains.
There was nothing we could do. We're stuck up in Denver. My grandma's 92 years old. And then it wasn't till they opened it back up for the community. That's when my brother and I had to wait to fly down.
Mark already had a friend in Vallecito.
He knew we were flying in on the 16th, and he doesn't like attention. So on the 16th, he made an attempt to go out there without us knowing. So he takes his little work barge all the way down the north end of the lake to recover this hot tub.
Rob watched the guy try the rescue.
I do know he needs to be really careful. That place would be a landmines with all the lumber out there on that prop.
And ended up damaging the prop or his motor on the barge, so it just came to shore.
We're just coming into Vallecito from the Durango airport, and we see him at the north end of the lake. So now we got the work barge and the hot tub stuck on the north end of the lake.
So we agreed the next morning to meet at the marina.
Kalen, the guy that works at the marina, he has a little skiff with a 20 horsepower motor on the back. He takes his little skiff and then goes and hooks up to the hot tub.
And basically just towed it back to the marina.
Which took about an hour. Just the breeze was unbelievable in the lake. And then my grandpa had a trailer that we backed into the water, and then we were able to pull the hot tub on top of that trailer.
Once he put the flag on it, we named it the SS Tubby.
And it was so funny because when we got it all loaded onto the trailer, you're probably talking maybe 5 miles back to my grandpa's cabin. So you're going around the lake past the businesses and stuff. People were running out of the businesses and their homes cheering us on.
People driving by would honk at us. You'd see them pull over and get pictures.
Running out, giving us thumbs up. We felt like $1 million. We felt like local celebrities. It was amazing.
They're now planning a very local celebrity appearance in January at the annual Snowdown Light Parade in Durango.
So I signed up yesterday. We're going to be in the parade down there. We're going to take our snowmobile trailer and we're going to put the hot tub on it. And then we're going to put lights all around it. And then we're going to get like a Christmas tree. And then we're going to have a propane fireplace sitting by it. We're going to have it set up. And so I'm going to put a banner on the side that says SS Tubby 2025 Historic Bicedo Flood. My grandpa, who built the place, he passed away in 2018. He would have just loved this. He would have thought this was so funny, the attention his hot tub has gotten.
And they're all breathing a little easier now. The cabin survived the flooding.
We dodged a bullet for sure.
Thanks to Rob Hostler for the great sound you heard from the flooding and the hot tub rescue. If you want to relive the whole mission, you can check out a Facebook page he helps run, Vallecito Exploring. Last weekend, a tiny town in Colorado's western slope hosted an event well beyond its weight class.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Let's see some movies. Oh, and silence your phones, please.
Over 4 days, the Ridgway Independent Film Festival packed in more than 100 short and feature-length films. Artists, directors, and audiences from across the country made the pilgrimage to the remote town, 6 hours away from DIA, like filmmaker Dwayne LeBlanc, who came from LA.
It took 2 planes to get here and some driving, but yeah, we made it out.
And while tourists often come to Ridgway for its stunning mountain vistas, it didn't always attract filmmakers.
Yeah, so it's been really fun to see the town evolve in such an organic, creative way.
John Clark is a volunteer for the festival. He's also the mayor of Ridgway. I met up with him between showings and sat in one of the many intricate benches in the town. These angular, rust-colored steel pieces made by local artists. Behind us, a mural with enormous flowers. And that building it's painted on, affordable units, specifically for artists. If you're noticing a pattern, here's one reason why.
We were certified as a Colorado Creative District back in 2013. That really kind of changed the town completely.
That designation sparked funding and development. And the more people who came, the more they showed how at home artists are here.
When we moved here, it was 400 people. Now it's about 1,250, 1,300, something like that.
This all builds on Ridgway's most famous association with the arts, one that predates the latest boom.
The Grammy Awards are made in the basement of this building right here.
When you say the Grammy Awards, like the Grammys?
The Grammys, yes.
The Grammys are made right there.
Right there.
Wow. It's true. The little trophies have been made here for decades. And now, according to Clark, the large concentration of artists in such a small space makes this film festival stand out from all the other ones in the region.
You know, you'll bump into filmmakers on the street and just have a casual conversation. It's much more kind of low-key and down-to-earth than any of the major film festivals, of course. But that's what I would really want to hold on to, is that core Ridgway feel that kind of defines it.
The festival's grown from a one-night screening to a full 4-day lineup with music, dancing, and a 5K race.
There's a lot of people in town. It's really nice to see.
Another thing that makes it unusual, according to volunteer Thomas Griffith, is that it gives many filmmakers their first festival experience.
I've been approached by half a dozen young filmmakers this weekend who, this is their first festival. This is their first film, some of them. And they're just tickled pink to be here. They don't see this as a small festival in a tiny town on the western slope. They see this as their first success.
The town's appreciation for the arts also helped at least one film showing this year get completed at all.
Сьогодні рівно рік незламності українського народу.
The documentary, Ukraine Under Fire, was directed by Ridgway-based journalist Jordan Campbell.
And I gave a talk at the Shutdown called Ukraine Under Fire, right here in town. and everybody showed up.
His friends and neighbors, they didn't just attend, they invested.
I started this with a GoFundMe page, and there was people just throwing $50 and $25.
Your neighbors?
Yeah.
That 6-minute teaser eventually screened in Washington, D.C., at a bipartisan forum for U.S. senators and diplomats. The finished 40-minute-long film premiered earlier this year. It follows a Ukrainian television journalist along with frontline medics and civilians. Now, the film is scheduled to screen in Amsterdam, in Italy, and possibly at the Eiffel Tower in Paris next year. But this weekend, it screened right where it all began, among neighbors.
It's taken on a huge life of its own, but it literally started right there at that theater.
Ukraine Under Fire would go on to win the jury and mayor awards at the festival. You can see trailers for other films that were featured at the link in our show notes. Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Caitlin Kim and Mateo Schimpf. Follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.